Ooh. Wash clean my mind's eye. Show me my true light. Lifts me up by steam down. Lift me up to my destiny. Understanding my path, my destiny in life. Beautiful song. One of our KGM, part of our KGM family from the UK. How y'all feeling? Peace and blessings, everyone. Yes, Tanya. Make sure you support Steam Down. Inspirational music. I see you, Karan. Welcome. Okay, Sekher Session on the YouTube. Brother Frank, how are you doing? And Aretha's in the house. Aretha Manev. Aloha, Emily. Are you in Hawaii? With Steve Saeb is here from Hawaii. John from Denver, Colorado. Come on, Dr. Brown. You know you're up on Steam Down already. Steam, like, you know, steaming hot in Florida. Steam Down. St. Petersburg. And we have Chefs Savam. Chefs Savam. Powerful name. Nebetep. Osset. And Jaquetta's with us. Any first timers? Where the first timers at? Okay, we got the mathematician from the West Side, California. Okay, Curtis, welcome. First time in the meeting here on our webinar room. Excellent. Welcome to you. And that's Painesville, Ohio. Wow, Painesville. Okay. We need some peace to cover that pain. Kofi, blessings to you. Sebi Sai Maonk from Big Stone Gap. Michigan is in the house. Felicia, welcome. Metu Neter. Beautiful, beautiful. So great to see you all tonight. And I want to greet you. We have Accra, Ghana in the house. Right on. Okay, Dr. Joya Lopez, first time from the Bay Area in California. Welcome to you. King David from Dallas is with us. Okay, we got Joseph from South Carolina by way of Harlem. First timer, welcome, Joseph. Sefutep Kesab is with us from Happiness, New Jersey. Saket Nair, my sister from the Oaklands. And okay, yeah, you bought the song, right? Talk about serendipity. I met the brother in Sekher Cycle and on 3rd Street. Enjoyed a beautiful concert. One of our folks from the UK. We have the Mile High Cities in the house. All right, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful. So I want to welcome you. My name is M. Tahuti Kamo, and I'm one of the facilitators here for a powerful, powerful system of meditation called Kamitic. That's Kamit, K-A-M-I-T, as in ancient Egypt. Kamitic guided meditation. And you're welcome to the family. This is our session 1. We meet 3 times a month, early in the lunar cycle. And in our session 1, we introduce you to the concept, to the understanding of the Paut Neteru, or the so-called tree of life, right? That organizes the progression of the cycles that we experience every month. And we have had our eyes opened to the knowledge that each month there is an energy present that helps us to align ourselves with a particular faculty of our spirit. And that is the Holy Spirit that God has shared with us, that governs our success, that governs our growth. And it's like a wave of energy that's either propelling you forward as you ride it because you are aligned with it, or that might be smacking you back a little bit if you're not in harmony with that spiritual tide, so to speak. So we are blessed to have as our master teacher, Ra Un Nefer Amen, who has over 50 years of experience in practicing and teaching meditation, and who has taken the mystery out of the so-called mystery system through his over 40 books and thousands of lectures to help us to understand the historical context and meaning of the spiritual practices of some of our greatest ancestors, that built foundational civilization, and that we're able to do that in a manner where it lasted for thousands of years, and their wisdom, their guidance, their understanding, and their insights still echoes down to us throughout the millennia, as we sit here some 4,000 or 5,000 years later. It's not an ancient, passe type of understanding. It is the wisdom that cracks the code of the most important questions that we need to answer in life, such as, who are we? What type of being are we? And what is the purpose of this experience that we are having on this plane that we call Earth? What is the purpose of it? And tonight we have a special cycle where we focus on that question in terms of the concept of destiny. Yes, destiny. So at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce you. Those of you that are here for the first time, welcome. And I want to introduce you to one of the greatest minds in the world, and spiritual teachers that we have the opportunity to learn from. A person that has proven the ancient Kamitic wisdom systems and their application of our lives today, and has done that through his dedication, his sacrifice, and his example for over 50 years. So let's put our virtual hands together and welcome our master teacher, Ra Un Nefer Amen, in the Kamitic tradition, Shechem or Shechem, and we greet him in the mantric words of peace and power, Anech Rak, power, peace, and blessings, from Shechem or Shechem.
Rakatabu, peace and blessings to everyone. So how's the community doing today?
Wonderful, wonderful. We have greetings from many parts of the country and in Africa and other places. So we're looking forward to addressing this very important topic. And thank you again for spending this time with us.
Yes, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. The way you laid everything out was phenomenal. It got me to the point where I almost said, good, he did everything I need to do tonight. I can go home and get some more sleep. Your presentation was so wonderful, Ottawa. So Sekher or Sekhert, is the most mystifying faculty of the spirit. And the reason for that is the literature that accompanies it. The mythology of Saturn, for example, Kali in India, okay, Babalua, Aye, the universe, and so on. And here, sacred or sacred in Kemet, the rendition of the meanings of sacred has been so, you know, um, challenging to the understanding principle in people. And I finally was able to crack the code, not just simply in understanding what sacred is about, but how to teach it to the lay person, you know. And people need to understand that the understanding of the Neteru, the spheres of the tree of life, you see that, is not the result of a process or processes that one sits down and meditate and the answer comes all at once. The answer comes in drips and drabs over the years. You see that? As thought drifts. And then you go back and meditate on them when you remember or have the time, you see? And the difficulty, the challenge that Sekher presented to my person and to other, meditators and meditation instructors was the fact that, the cues and clues to understanding the revelations from Sekher comes from putting together, unifying, all of life experiences. You see that? When you're under, the energy of Sekher, you find yourself asking questions like, why am I here on earth? What's the purpose and meaning of life on earth? You find yourself saying things like, life has no purpose. All of these experiences that I went through have no real meanings. There's no, I don't understand why anybody has to go through X, Y, Z, or my time was wasted in this experience and the other, and so on. So when you are under a sacred crisis, you find yourself, very much involved in questions about the meaning of your personal life, the meaning of life on earth, of mankind, and so on. You see that? So, and I know that in this sacred cycle, the way the information came down to me this time for the layperson will crack that code and give them the ability to really answer these questions. You see that? Once your sacred faculty is put to work in the right way, you find yourself getting a better understanding on the meaning of your life, the meaning of life in general. You see, understanding, the ability to understand. That's a very queer word, understand. And some poets, friend of mine, to refer to what people have, he doesn't call it understanding, he called it upper standing, meaning that to understand is to look from the lower dimensions of life. You see, the foundation of life, to understand, to grasp what is happening on the outside. So the ability to understand, meaning opposite of upper standing, let's keep it in mind, because once you understand that most people, when they say I understand, they mean upper stand. It's just not simply a tricky, way of speaking, because, the French have a similar general use of the word to understand. Says, comprendre-nous, comprendre, and do you grasp? Where in English we say, do you understand? The French says, do you grasp? You see that? Because if I gave you, a certain, formula for, let's say, the formula, let's say, for heat, okay, the law of heat, for example, you can grasp it but not understand it. You can grasp it to the point that you can perform all kind of miracles, through, manipulating the law of heat, the thermodynamics and things of that nature, yet not understand a one iota of it. You see that? So once we understand, the principles of Sekher, we will be able to gain more insight into the meaning of life. And once we are able to unify through this law, unify the different events that have happened and are happening and will continue to happen in our lives, we will gain access to the great spiritual power, the Shechem, that Sekher represents. You see that? When we speak about the ultimate spiritual power, Shechem in the Kamitic tradition, is we're not talking about an energy power. We're speaking about of unifying things, bringing things together. It's like having 1,000 people working together as opposed to working separately. You see that? So it's a very important concept to understand, because to gain access to the spiritual power that Shechem, that Sekher represents, you have to unify past life experiences with the present experiences that you're going through and the ones to come. This will become a little easier as we go through the lecture. Our understanding begins with when you find yourself talking about destiny in regards to certain experiences that you're going through. Most people come to me and they open up the conversations, the questions with destiny around difficult experiences that they've had or that they're having. Let's say you lost your house, you lost your money, and you did everything right. You cannot see, you have no insight, no vision on having done anything, that enabled that while you're going through loss of your house, monies, and things of that nature. And most people ask the destiny question when they find themselves in difficult situations that they cannot understand. That is half true and half untrue in regards to Sekher. You see that? And the reason for it is that people, when they ask the destiny question, is this, do I have to go through this because of my destiny or is it my destiny? The answer is yes and no. Because destiny, from the sacred perspective, has to do with a multiplicity of experiences that you go through. You see that? Meaning that the meaning of a specific event in your life will only become clear when you understand the meaning, when you grasp the meaning, of perhaps almost all of your life experiences. Let's clarify that. You have one experience, one bad experience in life, and you cannot see anything that you did wrong to have merited that one bad experience. Let's see that. You take that experience, you chant the sacred mantra, the hekal, and you go into trance, with the vision of that bad experience. Eventually, in a couple of hours or days or weeks or months, and even a couple of years trickling down in your awareness, you will find that that one experience will be enlightened by Sekher providing you insight into maybe 10, 15, 20, 50 other experiences that you've had. That without the Sekher mantra, you're looking at those experiences as separate, you know, uh, events in your life. Sekher puts them together, and in putting them together, the lost house, the lost money, the lost 3, 4 relationships that you've had, the gallbladder, operation that you've had, you know, uh, the 2, 3 jobs that you lost. Without sacred mantra, they seem to be disjunct, meaningless, experiences. But with the sacred mantra, these 40, 50 events become parts of a whole. They work together to create a unified vision of your life. You see that you went through this experience to prepare you for the other experience. And you went through that other experience to throw light on, some other experience and so on. Meaning that, your destiny, events in life, is a conglomerate, not a one experience. You see that? And now you begin to see why most people, esotericists and so forth, have problem with the destiny question. There's one and only one destination for all of us in life. The word destiny comes from destination. And that perception, is popularized by statements like, I'm on a path, I'm on a journey, I'm looking for myself, I'm searching for myself, I'm searching for the knowledge of who I am, and so on. You see that? And that one goal is to become a divine being, meaning the goal of evolution is to manifest, divine beings. Human beings eventually will be born as divine beings. Right now, we have to evolve into our divinity, okay? Because as a target of manifesting life, mankind is not yet at the point to be born as divine beings. They're born humans, and we have to work our way through, various life experiences, painful and easy ones, difficult and easy ones. You see, but we have to go through these experiences to become divine beings. But we can only understand those experiences when we put them together, when we unify them into one story. You see that if I say to you, explain to me, give me a story of your life, with the present understanding or lack of understanding, with the present understanding, you might give me 30, separate narratives, because there's no unity in your perception of those 30 narratives, those 30 situations. But once you go through those 30 experiences through, the sacred, faculty of the spirit, you find yourself given one narrative that is made up of 30 different parts. I hope this is making clear for you to understand. Yes, sacred is very convoluted in that way. That's why, its meaning has been escaped, most spiritual teachers, and students and so on. You see that? So there's only one goal to become a divine being, but there are many, many different paths to become a divine being. Other people have said that, but when they say that the one goal is approached through many paths, the many paths are being viewed as separate entities instead of different parts of one narrative. You see that? And that one narrative is just not simply an initiation system, because the parts of that initiation system is composed by your life experiences. That's something that I had trouble with, the various, initiation systems that have been put forward for mankind. You see, where the initiatory experiences and procedures were totally divorced from your daily life experiences, your mundane life experiences that many initiators thought to be irrelevant to your spiritual life and so on. So the materials for your spiritual work to become a divine being, you see, the materials for that are in your life. Your failures, your successes, your painful experiences, your painless experiences, they all must be unified. You have to get a unified view of all of your life experiences, which you cannot stitch together by figuring and reasoning. You have to go into that sacred part of the spirit in trance. You see, you have to go into trance, into that part of the spirit, and relive your experiences. So to help you understand clearly, how you're going to work this. Okay, let's say you make a list, pencil and paper. You make a list of 10 experiences that you've had in life, five of which are very notable, striking experiences, standing very clearly, in your awareness. And five of them, are experiences that seemingly have no drama, no importance, and no relevance to your life. So you're going to have 10 experiences, which of course is not all of your life experiences. But for the exercise, we start with one set, five experiences that were very upstanding in your life, painful or very joyful. Let's say you have one very painful and four very joyful, and then you have another five set of experiences, that were not long lasting and were not very impactful and so on. And you're gonna go into the trance with the sacred, mantra, and then after half an hour to 60 minutes, you are going to relive each and every one of those life experiences. And you're not going to compose the narrative, just simply go into trance, relive the experience, and once you come out of trance, write down whatever thoughts come to you for the next 30 minutes. So let's say you spend 30 to 60 minutes meditating, going into trance with Sekher, and another 30 minutes writing down the revelations that drift into your awareness. And you will do this every day with the same 10 experiences. And as time progresses, you will find that these 10 experiences begin to become one experience. And each of the 10 experiences is just simply a scene, a scenario in one and the same story. You see that? Before the second meditation, they seem to be, meaningful, standalone, separate experiences. Second will bring them together, stitch them together. And then when you stretch these experiences over time, meaning experience one took place, let's say, 30 years ago. Experience two took place, 25 years ago. Experience three took place 20 years ago, and so on. So you put them in sequence, time sequence, and you are going to begin to see that, these experiences are now coalescing into, parts of one narrative. And there's this unity, this unification of information that will begin to throw light on the meaning of your life. You will find that without meditating, you'll find your person, being able to see the meaning in things that you went through that to this day you're thinking was unnecessary, was unfair, didn't have any meaning to your life, did not do anything good for you, and so on. There were things that I went through that, I thought was just the meaning of it was I was a young man. I had to make a living. I got a job at a music studio, organizing the musical, editing room and so forth, different parts of editing songs and so on. And then one day, the janitor did not come in. And the head of the owner of the business says to me, says, Ra, why don't you go clean the toilet? And I said to him, that's not what you hired me for. I don't do that. And he cursed me out. I took you out of the gutter. I'm telling you to do what you need to do, da, 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 and so on. So I just walked out. It was, something that I didn't merit. I was a very good worker, respectful, and I was very shocked that he would talk to me in that manner. So I very quickly and easily put that information behind me until one day, some 20, 30 years later, doing a meditation to Sekher, bam, the meaning of that is that meditation and that experience came clear. It was a lesson, that that I'm leaving parts out because I don't want to, I don't want to take you through the whole story, whatever. But the basic lesson to me was that it's not the work and the kind of work that you perform, it's how you perform it. You see that? Because when I first had experience, I was like, how dare he do this to me, or to anybody. But I dealt it in calmness. I didn't strike back at him. I didn't fight back at him. I didn't have a meltdown or whatever, and so forth. I did not call out the racist card, and so forth. And and that helped to shape my ability later on to withstand attacks from other people and losses and things of that nature. I was able to see how it contributed to my spiritual development at a time when I was unaware that being at peace is in the midst of somebody, cursing at you, whatever, would develop your spiritual skills. In those days, I was nowhere close to I Ching book or Metu Neter system or whatever. It was just simply an out of the blue, spiritual response to that situation. But I was able to see how later on it supported, my growth, my understanding of self, my understanding of Tehute didn't come from reading a book. It came from that one experience. You see that? You see? So when I studied music, and I was preparing for my audition at Mannes College of Music, I studied with a Russian, you know, um, pianist from Juilliard Prep, whose regular rate was $85 uh, a lesson, and I only had $15 a week. And this white woman, she took me on as her student. I was a good pianist in those days, but I wasn't like nowhere near a finished product. You see that she wouldn't have lost any sleep had she just simply turned me down because everybody was shocked to learn that she went down from $85 to $15. You see, on somebody that I had just met, for a few hours. You see that. She didn't know that I would become a faithful student. She knew that I would or would not become, a you know grateful student and so on. But so that taught me that you know you cannot judge people by their gender or by their race. You see that, and that understanding did not come from a book on philosophy or sociology or psychology or whatever. It came from the kindness, you see, and vision of a person. You see that. So these who you are, who you're going to be, look at the events in your life. You see that through the lens of sacred, and you're going to find, reasons for doing things, for going through experiences that you went through, that are, the meaning of which, the value of which escaped you because you were in a better consciousness. You know, that's 27, brain beats per second when you went through asking questions about the meaning of this experience with other. And by meditation, you took the same theme, at 14, 8, 14 or 8 births, not eight beats per second. You see that. Once you go to the meditation, a lower, wavelength, you see things differently. You experience and remember things that, were not there before or hidden away from you at the moment of having the experience. So the sacred takes you way, way down. You see that. Okay. It's the deepest state of consciousness, you know, um, in terms of dealing with information residing within you. So you're going to find that what seems to be separate, meaningless information and experiences, sacred puts them together. You see that? Okay? To give you meaning and to give you the power. Because now you have just not 10, 20 separate experiences in life. You have one experience, one goal to become a divine being. You see that? Using all of the experiences in your life. You see that? And it's important to understand that while you may have put an event that you don't quite understand or an event that you think was unnecessary, when you put that behind you, you're going to find that that event is storing a lot of energy. That information could be stored in your gallbladder, in your liver, you see that, in some other organic, vital organ in your body, eating away of your life force. Because, that's what happens with unresolved events in your life. They're stored in your vital organs and so on. So sacred is in this way here. And for those of you who study, psychology from the point of view, in addition to the point of view of astrology, there are systems like the Taoist school put the astrology with the medical thing together to show you that the most, virile illnesses come from storing negative beliefs about your life, about your experiences, storing them away in your vital organs. You see that? So a lot more will come to you next week once you take these experiences into trance. What I am to come over teach you the mantras, and give you samples, meditations for you to work with to prepare for. And part of the information that you're going to need is what you share from each other, and with each other, through your testimonials. Even though sacred takes a long time to respond, many of you, because of the work you've been doing for the past year in our guided meditation, many of you are going to have some very deep, spectacular, results from these meditations that you will do this week and the week following. There are a lot of things that need to be said, yes, but now you can stop using, relevant words, in a, meaningless way. Like, and life is a journey. Yes, it's a journey. You're walking towards where? To that place where your divinity resides. We call it Oser. You see that? The Indus Kush yogis call it Shiva. You see that? Oser. You see, the Taoists have no name, no specific names for a god man or god woman. They just simply say the sage. You see that? But they all recognize, a man and a woman is through which God comes down to earth to reside and teach through the body, mind, and psyche of a living being. Many of you on this call, will one day realize that you are one of those beings. You see that? Don't wait to be chosen. Go ahead and, do the work. Do the work. Focus on doing the work, and you'll be surprised, that you are one of those people that will be chosen as a result of the work that you have done. The idea of being a chosen person has been separated from the truth, that you got to do the work first. So I know you're going to have questions for me. So at this point, I turn the microphone over to Ra Un Nefer Amen to take your questions.
All right. Thank you so much. And we have a few questions bubbling up. I do want to take a moment and welcome Sekher Session. We have a number of new folks with us. We are on Instagram right now. We are on YouTube. And I want to welcome you, let you know that session 1 of our group meditation experience is free. It's open to everyone. And it's your opportunity to learn about this particular meditation system where we are working with a part of the spirit according to the lunar cycle. And this month we are dealing with that which is called Sekher. And that next week, for those of you that are members, it's a $25 a month fee to be a member. You will be invited to a private meditation on Zoom where you will be able to carry out these instructions and then join our spiritual family as we go through these experiences together and get your testimonials, your questions and answers by someone who has vast experience in this area. So I would like to just back up a little bit for the new folks that are with us. Sekher Session, you mentioned brainwave states, and we know that you're referring to the changes that take place when one goes actually into the meditation state, and that in the system that you helped to restore, that we use words of power or mantras or hekau in order to stimulate these different parts of the brain. So I did want to ask for those, and there was a question in the chat, who are not familiar with Sekher and the meaning as you're explaining, if you could just explain some of the iconography. It's pictured as a hawk-headed person with a mummified, it looks like it's been mummified, sitting down and holding these implements. Can you share a little bit to help us to understand what that symbolism means as it relates to what you're speaking of?
Very good, very good. I focus on the major parts of the symbol because the symbols, the Kamitic hieroglyphs are very complex. And you can spend a lot of time trying to decipher and put them together to make much sense and get values from them. You see that. But and I notice also that sacred is black and white, as opposed, and it looks like Heru Kahuti, looks like Heru, the hawk-headed, you know, uh, images. But it represents, it's also, the symbol that hovers over the cemeteries in Kemet. And sacred, of course, was transliterated into Sakara. You see, and today it's Sakara and so forth. So the thing is that sacred is a faculty, where the human ceases to be. In your growth from human to become a divine being, there is a cutting off point, a point where you're no longer human, and you become on your way to divine being. You see that, and that transformation is is culminated in you becoming an oser. You see that. So sacred is a faculty, meaning that once you begin to understand that there was no such thing as a negative event in your life. You see that somebody stole your $10 million. You were once a rich person, now you are a pauper with no nothing to remedy that situation. But through your spiritual work and teachings, you're able to remain at peace and enjoy the peace and continue to do the work to bless others with your great knowledge that you have received. You see that? That means that the human within you has died. The human within you has passed. and the various implements that you see in the hands, of Sekher correspond to different, statements. You see that refer to being to having surpassed beyond, the human state of being. You see that, so those are the main, articles of meaning of the different images, on the the netter.
And in your introduction, you spoke about the connection between this understanding that we are seeking of our relation, of the relationship between our various experiences in life, that will, when unified, will give us access to spiritual power. And you spoke a little bit about the distinction with spiritual power. Can you share a little bit more about how spiritual power in this understanding of the Shechem or Sekher differs from what people are referring to as manifestation, which is presented to us as a use of the powers of the mind, the use of affirmations, the so-called law of attraction. How do these manifestations differ from the manifestation of spiritual power?
Well, when you understand Sekher, you know, you can. It's incorrect to put it together with manifestation of spiritual power. In other words, don't forget, right? You have all of these experiences that are not working together to teach you who you are, okay, to teach you the meaning of the events in your life and so on. So your energy is being scattered. So the spiritual power that you're getting from Sekher, corresponds to all of your sources of powers working together. You see that, like I said, 1,000 people working together as opposed to working separately. If I have 1,000 people pushing at the same point, the same spot, much more would be accomplished than if each person pushed a separate spot by themselves. You see that? So the sacred power is one of unification. Different people, different forces working together to achieve the same goal, as opposed to working separately to achieve different goals. Because when the average person thinks of sacreds, they think that's of destiny. They're always focusing on a separate event. You see that? So sacred brings you the understanding of how the different event in your life works together, so that now you're putting them all together to the same goal, which is to become a divine being. Once you become that divine being, the Oser, then you find yourself being able to manifest things in your life with much greater force and power. You see that? Because as a divine being, you would grow beyond, the dissipating, power of negative emotions and negative behavior and so on. You see that? So when you go back to my book on manifestations, empower your manifestations, we're talking about now on a different, smaller level. Okay, you're not going to find, your experiences together. You're unifying, the proper use of the mind, the emotions, you know, the imagination and the breathing and so on. That is for much smaller, events in life. You want to become a musician, a tuba player in an orchestra. So you go to the book on empowering manifestation to learn how to make your the different faculties of the mind, the psyche, the breathing, and so forth work together to help you achieve your goal as a bassoon, or tuba player. That's different from wanting to become a divine being. Okay, you come to the realization that the greatest effort that you must be putting forth in life is to become a divine being. That is for the sacred part of your spirit. You see that? The Empire manifestation system will not make you become a divine being. That will help you with specific things, specific projects that you have in your life. So keep those things separate there.
So does one detract from the other, Shechem? If someone is working on manifestation and the meditation as you spoke of, raising their life force and the visualizations and affirmations in the pursuit of worldly goals, does that detract from the cultivation of Sekher and one's divinity?
They do not detract because, but at the same time, you don't use a sledgehammer to kill a fly. In other words, you don't go to Sekher, and if what you have now is all the time you have now is to become, let's say, an accountant. You see that? Don't try to become an accountant with the Sekher, procedure. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
That's like killing a fly with a sledgehammer.
Thank you. And we have Ray Eason. Welcome, Ray. He's on our Facebook page. And he asks about the correspondence between Sekher and the Ba. He says, is Sekher the Ba bird depicted in some portraits of the mummified person?
The Ba is the name given to the part of spirit that houses your self faculty within you. You see that? Okay? The part of spirit where Sekher dwells is called the Shechem. You see that? Or the great power. Yes, and it's important that students keep these part of spirit separate from each other because they are deeply involved in understanding spiritual growth, tapping into certain spiritual powers, and above all, your final experience, in the underworld once you make your transition to the other plane.
Mm-hmm. And we have Doc Amen in our webinar room, and he asks to please elaborate on going through the transitions towards being the direct vehicle for God, coming down to speak through one's body, mind, and spirit, one's unique divinity, the transformation over time, destined in it now.
Can you repeat that question again? The couple of parts seem to me not jiving together. If you can repeat it, perhaps.
He's asking to elaborate on the transition towards becoming a vehicle for God, the transformation for becoming a vehicle for God.
Okay, now it's clear. First of all, to become a vehicle for going to God, a vehicle for God to come through you, and so forth, that is based on an initiation process. And I'm yet to recompose the initiation process, okay? Because when I first wrote Metu Neter Volume 1, back in 1985 to 1990, we didn't have as much information to access information as we do now. The internet has come a long, long way, especially now with AI. You have access to so much more raw data. You see that it enables us to put together a much more, not just simply Kamitic, but a system that combines Kamitic, Taoist, and yogic, with modern science. To get, and the modern science is a deal to silence the voice of the skeptic who believes that now they understand science, better. They need to know that if you understand science better, then you understand religion better, because the two are, based on the same fundamental principles. So the thing is that once the right initiation system is put in place, You go through the initiation, the foundations, the fundamentals of that initiation system has not changed. It's a presentation, and once you do it properly, just do the work. You know, like they say, when you plant a seed, do not dig it up to see how this, how it's rooting and growing on the grounds. Just do the work, and put the water on it, the sunlight on it, do the work. Do not think about the transformation from day to day. Leave it up to God, and then again, now you should know better than anybody how well you're doing in initiation because of the Uchao Medu, part of the initiation system, where each and every night you are going to confess to God, whatever violations that you have made and pledge. You see that, and if you are one of those people who's let's say thin skin that is not moved by pledging day after day the same violations, then you are, one, that will suffer great pains and tribulations from trying to become a vessel for God. It's because you will be confronted with your lack of sincerity. It's so when you are trying to become vessel for God, do the work. Don't be looking to see how things are transforming. That is up to God. You see that to manage, and God will let you know. You see that.
Okay, and we have Karan in our webinar room who asked the question, are you saying that all of our experience is tied to our destiny?
To becoming an Osir, yes, absolutely. What else is greater than becoming a divine being? Becoming a divine being means that you've put yourself way beyond suffering, that are in complete control, of your emotional life, your spiritual life, living a life where your life is total bliss, total peace and enjoyment of peace. You see that? Because you see, in life, we cannot avoid challenges. You see that? The world was not constructed in that way to make the world, challenge free. The minute that you become challenge free, your spiritual immunity system, diminishes. You see that. So you are destined to become a being that is beyond suffering. And what's the purpose of that? You now can save mankind. You now can pass on that knowledge to others. Because the big problem in the world is not that people are suffering because of what others are doing. People are suffering because they haven't mastered control over, they haven't mastered, the ability to remain, peaceful. You see, and enjoy the peace, meaning have been, they have, they are suffering from the escape of happiness. You see that? Happiness has left them totally beyond, totally behind, and so on.
Yes. So, second, what about the relativity of the challenges that
The sun is breaking
face?
out, sir.
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Hello, Ora?
Are you hearing me well?
I hear you now for about
Okay.
10 seconds.
Yeah, I think I'm back. We good?
I'm good.
Okay. So I was asking about the relativity of challenges that people face. And one of the things that brought this to mind was just recently there was a group of people that were removed from the United States back to Venezuela. And they found themselves in a building that while they were, after being deported, residing, I guess, until they found housing. And then there was an earthquake, and many of those people perished. So when you see things like this happening in the world, is that part of what we're talking about when we say destiny? And what's the meaning of the difference between the relative experiences that people are having, even people that are very young?
That's what I've been trying to say all night long. The persistence with the false belief that something bad happens to you. Immediately you think, is this my destiny to go through this? You have one destination to become an Osir. Even the people who lost their lives in these different events and so on, to become an Osir. If not in this incarnation, in a future incarnation, because the journey is a long, long, long one. You see that? What you meant to ask the person who went through this as you went through good and bad events is as part of the spiritual growth, lesson that they had to go through is to cultivate the skills of being free of pain, free of suffering, free of emotion, no control over their lives and so on. They have to go through, some experiences or another where they can now develop their divine responses to challenges in life. You see that? That experience by itself will not do that. You see that? Okay? Once you put it together, once you take it into trance with a sacred mantra, along with other experiences that you've had, good and bad, together, these things will help you to understand how your life has been moving and is moving toward the realization of your divinity. Is that making sense to you, sir?
Yes, indeed. And does that have to do with the correspondence or the relationship between Sekher and the ancestors?
Well, like I said before, your ancestors is what came before you. Your ancestors are part of your spiritual development because you and your ancestors are all working together to evolve, not you or an individual, but to evolve, the tribe, to evolve the nation, and eventually to evolve mankind. You see that? And everybody has an ancestry that has left behind something to assist them in their quest for divinity. You see that? So you must honor your ancestors because especially those who have left, who dedicated their lives to teaching, leaving teachings to the realization of spirituality behind. You see that? We honor our Kamitic ancestors, Khufu, Khafra, and so forth, because they spent a lot of their wealth, you see that, developing these teachings and leaving them behind so that we will find them. These teachings that we're using today could have easily been eroded by the weather and things of that nature, but they survived. You see that they were buried in a very hard, undestructive, stone and so on, so that we will have it or they when they come back into this world, because many of us are our ancestors' rebirth. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, so you honor this.
Thank you. So if you're just joining us, we're speaking with Ra Un Nefer Amen. He's the prolific author of the Metu Neter series, volumes 1 through 7, as well as 40 other books on the subjects of spirituality, relationships, holistic health, and Taoist yoga, and so on. He is the host and the designer of this Kamitic meditation system that you are being informed about in tonight's session. And this is session 1 of 3 dedicated to this faculty of the Holy Spirit that our ancestors in Kemet referred to as Sekher. So in focusing on the preparation that you've given us tonight, Shechem, you spoke about making a list of our experiences, and then we're going to be given some guidance as to how to meditate to help us to recover or to uncover the meaning of the experiences that we have in our life that are tied to our growth and into our divinity. So, a question for people that are just starting with this type of work, going into the meditation state and reliving past experiences. What if some of these experiences are quote unquote traumatic or difficult? Many people had certain experiences in their youth that they might spend many of their years in therapy and so forth trying to recover from. So how will the meditation that we're going to be doing address those unpleasant experiences or that might trigger emotional reactions?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. They should not choose to meditate as on let's say any very troubling, emotionally troubling experiences. If they lost a house for $1 million or $2 million, and they did not go through a emotional, you know, um, big emotional upheaval, yes, you can meditate on that. But if you have a psychiatric response, then leave those things alone. You see that? Yes, and if you have something that was diagnosed as some medical situation, psychological medical situation, yeah, then no, do not, and that would be true for any other meditation, experience. You see that, and anybody, unless a person has a medical degree, psychiatric, psychotherapist degree, you should not involve yourself with them in any meditation that makes you relive, these, emotionally charged experiences. When I said to identify 5 situations where you have serious problems, and I was not speaking about emotional problems. Nobody would, and you didn't hear me say that, and nobody would promote, such an experience for the student.
Mm-hmm. And Shauna asked, what about experiences that we don't consciously remember? How do you access them to join with the others?
If you do not consciously access, choose, or seek to experience something, then the only way you can experience it is if and when it comes to you on its own. And in most such cases, those things happen because you either, you were ready to handle them. So because there's in psychology, there is an effect called repression, suppression, and repression. They say that those are protective responses of the psyche to protect you against negative, psychological experiences during psychotherapy or during, meditation and so on. You see that? So your body has, your mind, your psyche has suppressed and repressed, different techniques to block certain memories from you. So, so if you know that a particular experience, led you to a very, very, bad experience, stay away from them, no matter what the meditation system is, you know. And if you don't remember them, then you don't remember them. There's nothing you can do about that. If it comes to you in most cases, it's because your psyche is ready to receive them. If it's coming to you and you're discovering that such an experience is coming back to you and you don't feel comfortable, then stop meditating. Or if it's happening through psychotherapy, end the therapy session. And then take that to psychiatrists, for the proper medication and so on. But in the 50s, 2 years of teaching, we never had anybody with any of those experiences and so on.
And we have Shekem Tahuti Shi Amen in our webinar room. He says, what is the best way for someone to align one's quote unquote free will, the ab division of the spirit, with their incarnation objective without impairing what the divine plan has in store for us? Question: is it done by suppressing the desires alone, or or else? I'm not sure what that.
Yeah, the question forces me to give an answer. Okay, that may not be that the student may not find, you know, to his or her liking. Instead of the free will, the will is free by nature. You see that? By the mere fact that the will is a part of the self. This is that's that that is found in a part of spirit, okay, that has no energy and matter moving through it. You see that? So there's no energy and matter in it for any emotion to compel or impel it to act in a certain way. That is the foundation of the freedom of the will. You see that? So when whatever is happening in life, unless you are in a inebriated state, or in a caught up in a stress mode or whatever, or psychiatric experience, the will is never compromised, by events in your life. You always have the freedom, you see that, to say yes, the freedom to say no, and to execute that freedom. You see that. Now, when it comes to events in your life, okay, uh, you always have the freedom to indulge or not to indulge events in your life. The problem is that you see many students have not gotten to that point where they want to challenge themselves to block an emotional impulse without having done the preparation, the preparatory work. So to take on that part of the desire nature, or the stress response mechanism and so on. And that is why if you go through meditate my book, Metu Neter Volume 4, you find that I gave a very, graduated set of initiatory experiences to go through in a systematic way, taking on the different emotional and sensual part of your being. You see that? So when you're being defeated, find yourself being defeated by the emotional and sensual part of your spirit or your psyche, it's because you have not prepared yourself. It has nothing to do with a fiasco of your will. You did not prepare properly to handle, the part of your psyche that you are not challenging. You see that?
Too. Speaking of Volume 4, we have Tawanda. Welcome, Tawanda, on Facebook, who says, I am currently reading Metu Neter Volume 4, and it has instructed me to wait until February to start the work. Is it necessary to wait, or is it possible for me to start the work now?
It's not. You can. You're not obligated to start in February, but as you remarked at the beginning of this class tonight here, there's a cyclical principle, a psychical, mental, biological clock that governs the functions of the different faculties of the spirit, the psyche, and the mind. So that the different procedures that you're going to go through, can be done at any time of the year. You see that? but they are more effective when done at the proper time of the year. You see that? So let's say that you wanted to start Metu Neter 4 exercises now. You see, go through as many meditation exercises as you can go through, and come February, start all over again. Because you're gonna, you're not going to achieve your goals with 1 year of work in Metu Neter Volume 4. You see, the work in Metu Neter Volume 4 is going to require several years for you to complete the work laid out in there. You see that? So yes, you got the book now. Start the exercises down. Come February, start all over again, and you'll find yourself experiencing, revelations and abilities that you didn't experience the first time you went through it. Starting, let's say, this time of the year. The same holds true for the the your union with God, class that we did. It's best done in the winter months, but the work for union with God can take place at any time of the year. You see that?
Well, Elizabeth on our YouTube channel is very much in sync with with what you're saying. She put a question up. She said, "Can you meditate just to have a closer conscious contact with God?"
Well, meditation will have to be a part of the work. You see that? But it's more than just meditation. You have to live these truths. You see that? Okay? And that's the part that a lot of students leave out. They do the meditation, and when they get to the crossroad, meaning crisis, that says to them, do it now. Go back and apologize to that person that you dish, that you distance an issue, right? Because you know this is the truth, the correct thing to do. But you're so weighed down with anger or fear, of criticism, whatever, that you don't live the truth. Meditating is not enough. You see that? You have to make yourself live the truth. And live that truth, you see, through understanding, you see that, and not through the coercion of your emotional part of being.
And we have Curtis Jackson in our webinar room who asked the question, are all human beings capable of or have the capacity to become a divine being?
All people, the human nature is a part of you, not all of you. Under no circumstances are you a human being. You might be under the control of the human part of life. You see that? All of you, all of us have a set of human faculties that are subject and capable of being, you know, eradicated from our life. You see that? All of us, have the divine faculties, as shown in part Neteru, Amen down to Geb. We all have the divine faculties that can be aroused, you see, and enable us to become divine beings. You see that? So, yes, the answer is yes. We all are capable of becoming divine beings. As a matter of fact, we all came. We all came to become divine beings. As crazy as the behavior of some people might seem, you see, and so that's why some yogi says, honor the divine in every person that you meet. You see that? You see?
And we have Akiru in our YouTube, on one of our YouTube channels, and he says, how do you free yourself from spiritual possession? I've been dealing with a possession since I've meditated, and I've been suffering for over a year. I need help.
Well, possession is a common, a folk anecdotal label that the Western, I don't know what to call them. They call themselves experts on the spiritual conduct of non-Western people, but the idea of a spirit taking over your mind and psyche, whatever, is totally unscientific and not based on any reality and things of that nature. When you find yourself, in a trance, okay, that is difficult to get out of, it's because your vagus nerve is weakened. You see that? So go on the internet, Samsung and Amazon. I was thinking about my phone here, Amazon. Go to Amazon and look up, vagus nerve therapy. And you're going to find a lot of exercises. Better name will be exercises other than therapy. So get a good book on strengthening the vagus nerve. This is humming and breathing and things of that nature, or if you get your hands on one of my oldest book, the meditation techniques of the Taoists, Kabbalists, and Vedantins, I explain the Tumo breathing in there. You got to strengthen the vagus nerve again. You see that? So that's what happened to this person. But then you're going to have to look and research to find out what caused the weakness in your vagus nerve. You see that? Why you get stuck, in a low brainwave state. The so-called position is your brain getting stuck in alpha when it should be in beta. You see that? So deep breathing and humming and things of that nature and other exercises and so on. And if you always spoke about possession, but try to get more technical in describing, your symptoms, what's going on with you, because it is on one end, it could also be, a medical situation that you're experiencing. You see that? The meditation just happens to be, a physical challenge to the physiological weakness that was there. So, but it could be some other physical problem, health problem that is being hidden. In the 52 years I've been teaching, you'll never have somebody with such an experience through any system of yoga, meditation, or qigong, or whatever have you. So through all means, look up information how to strengthen, and stabilize your vagus nerve. It's the largest and most important nerve in your body.
Thank you for that. We just have a couple more, and I know we're coming down to the close here. I want to welcome Loki on our Loki Stormbringer. It's his YouTube handle. He's first time with us, and he asks, does following a vegetarian diet help support the raising of your life force and raising of your spiritual development, along with the Kamitic initiation system?
Absolutely. Following a vegan diet, just not vegetarian, will, number one, heal and straighten out and harmonize, um, your gut, your second, brain is in the gut. You see that, okay? And especially a vegetarian diet that has different probiotics, and or better yet, the symbiotics. In other words, not only do they give you the probiotics, but the food for the probiotics within you, because you have a brain inside your gut that needs to be stabilized, and you cannot do that with a animal diet. You see that? Go on the internet and look up the the nutritional values, of animal diet and vegetable diet, and you will find that your vegetarian diet for the same amount of calories, and nutrients that you take in, a vegetarian diet far surpasses an animal diet. More vitamins, more minerals, more, nutritional factors like, the what do you call this all of a sudden? I was thinking of some special things here, antioxidants and so on. So you find that there are much more the nutritional items in a vegetarian diet or vegan diet especially than, let's say, you find in a meat diet. At the end of the day, that would translate into more, chi force, more kundalini energy within you, and so on.
Thank you. And we just have two more, Shechem. We have Tahuti, who says, what is the meaning, if any, regarding Sekher being seated, as opposed to Herukuhuti and Heru, also depicted as hawks who are standing?
Well, the standing Heru and hawks corresponds to the active forces that represent. You see that? Whereas Sekher corresponds to a latent energy, okay, that, like I said earlier, it's not like a force. The Sekher power is not like a force. Active energy is a force that comes from different faculties coming together, different experiences being unified so that you put to work, all of your life experiences is to work at the same time together. Yes, so it is it is an energy force that is, functioning for more, a more peaceful, it's like it resists a push rather than making a push, it resists the push. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. And the last question from David's, who's asking, does the development of a unified understanding of our past experiences give insight into what future choices we should make to accelerate the process of becoming an Osir?
In other words, it doesn't really matter. You see that? Because the thing is that you cannot make a conscious effort. You say, like you decide, if I do this and let's say you're sitting down with pencil and paper, you write down, if I do this and I do that and so forth, I can or may become an Osir much sooner. You don't know what is going to come out of the woodpile tomorrow. You see that? There are a lot of, because, understanding your past life is not going to help you to choose, what life experiences you're going to go through tomorrow. You see that? You see, and from the spiritual point of view, the stronger the challenges are, the more power you receive by responding spiritually and positively to those challenges.
All right. Well, thank you so much for spending another hour and a half with us, giving this guidance on this very, very important aspect of our spiritual development. Sylvia, what was your question? Some of you have some operational questions, so I'll be glad to answer those in a moment. Okay, Sylvia, I missed this one. Sylvia in our webinar room asks to explain the Henu boat of Sekher represents the death and decay phase of the life cycle of all things. Is it true Sekher, God's spiritual power, can manifest only through persons that have spiritually elevated themselves to serve as the vessels of God on earth? Is this the only way to become a divine being?
Okay. With all due respect, the statement seems to come out of an AI system because Henu, the word Henu, Henu, in Kamitic language represents a servant. So the Henu boat is the boat through which the disciple serves God. It's a priest and a disciple in the Kamitic tradition is a neter hen and plural neter henu. It's a servant of God. You're here to serve God. Your body is here for God to use. Okay? Your mind is here for God to use. Your psyche is here for God to use. You see that? Or as a Christian says, not my will, but your will. You see that? Many religious groups, recognize that your body, your mind, your psyche, it needs to be purified and transformed, for God to use. You see that? So the whole thing that the young lady right, or maybe young man put forth as, as a consequence of the Hindu boat, is some incorrect statement that some researcher put together, and it's not hard to understand for the simple fact that, most of what Sekher represents is comes out of meditating. It's a result of meditating, going to trance with Sekher. You see that? So yes, one has to traverse. It's the desert sand. It's that is where the Hindu boat of Sekher is found, meaning that the disciple, the priestess, this is in the Sekher cycle of initiation, has to get out of the boat and pull the boat across the sand. That's how much work, and that you have to sacrifice and do a great deal of work that's in the cycle, stage of initiation, in order to prove that you are here to serve God. And that's the proper understanding of that passage in the Metu Neter. And I just want to make sure that students are not building up their understanding of Kemet through the AIs that are, presenting themselves now. You're going to find books that purporting to be, great sources of information regarding the aging, Taoism, yoga, Kundalini yoga, and Kamitic technology and Kamitic teachings. And lots of it and most of it is written by researchers as opposed to initiates. So beware.
All right. I want to ask you to put your virtual hands together for another great evening with Ra Un Nefer Amen, our master teacher. And just want to share with you that this meditation that you're going to be participating in next week has had some profound effects on many of us who are a couple of weeks ahead of you in this particular cycle. So you have a lot to look forward to. I'm going to give you some information about how you can get involved, how you can log into the portal where this meditation next week will take place, and where you'll find a lot of resources on the Kamitic meditation system. So thank you, Master Teacher Ra Un Nefer Amen. We want to say a Necharak to you, power, peace, and blessings, and much thanks for another great evening.
Thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated your assistance in helping us, put these webinars on. So thank you very much, and thank you to our wonderful students. We appreciate your questions, and we're looking forward to your testimonials next week, because every testimonial that is given helps the student next to you, because verification comes from people like you doing the work as opposed to somebody who claims to be a teacher.
A lot of appreciation in the chat. Thank you so much, Sheikh Meshechem. Please
Thank
stand
you.
by if you have questions. I want to give you some support, but let's give our thanks and say good evening. Ra Un Nefer Amen.
Peace and blessings.
That's Ra. All right. Appreciate you all being here. And on the screen, you see an internet address, bit.ly/start KGM. It's $25 a month, $25 a month, less than $1 a day. And what you get are 3 sessions like what you experienced tonight. Next week's session will actually start with a refresh on what our assignment is. And then you will be guided in a live online meditation using the Sekher Cycle, or mantra, words of power, and the musical composition, which we didn't speak about, that really helps you to go into the deeper brainwave states, right, in order to experience this meditation. So we look forward to meeting you there. That's how you sign up. You're going to get an email with a password and username, and you're going to find not just information on Sekher, but information on all of the faculties of the spirit according to the Kamitic system, from Amen, Oser, to Huti, Sekher, Ma'at, Heru, Herukahuti, all the way down the tree of life. And the mantras, the practices, the recordings, all of that is available for your benefit. So I just want to answer a couple of questions. And those of you who are moving on, I look forward to seeing you next week. There was a question about access to the Zazen breathing technique. See if I can go back and find that. That was from a lot of greetings in here. Okay, I think I lost my place, but if you are the person that has signed up for the Ma'at 11 laws and you don't see your Zazen module, you can shoot us an email. Yeah, I don't see it. You can shoot us an email and we'll make sure we get you signed up on our Kamitic stream. So you can send a message to osarosetpa@gmail.com. It's up on the screen right now. AUSAR, like Pennsylvania, @gmail.com. And we will make sure you get your Zazen meditation module. Another person asked about getting a spiritual reading. We do have priests and priestesses that are qualified in some of our parts of the country, and some that also work online that can help you with that. You can go to our link tree. That's linktr.ee/Osarian, AUSARIAN. It's up on your screen right now. And that will direct you according to your location in the country as to where you can find some help with that. Okay, let's see if we had any others. All right, you're welcome. Tacoma, Washington. We have a group in Seattle. Yes, close by, Joe. So look up Asaraset Society Seattle, or go to that link tree. I believe they are represented there, and you can get some help. Marcella. Okay, Marcella, send me your email address, and I will get you hooked up with your Zazen. By the way, if you haven't heard, Zazen is a powerful meditation technique that helps you with your overall health, vitality, stability, emotional composure, exercising and strengthening your vagus nerve. It's an ancient technique, otherwise known as bamboo breathing. And we have a track that explains that and guides you in that practice, something all of you are definitely recommended to train with, to be able to deepen your meditation experiences and elevate your life force. Zazen breath technique. So let's see here. Okay, Joseph. Wow. 60 years ago at the Rosicrucian Center, Strivers Row in Harlem. All right. Welcome back. Okay, that was Marcella. You got your Zazen. Yes, brother Akeru, you want to get some help from some good holistic qualified practitioners. Okay, Cypher L, peace and blessings. If you're just getting started, I would say you want to start with Ma'at, the 11 Laws of God book, and start right here in KGM. That's the best experience that you can have. This is the book that we're referring to, right? Very compact, very powerful, but it will give you the understanding of the Neteru, the tree of life, and most importantly, the laws, the divine laws that undergird this Kamitic spiritual system, the source of wisdom that is spread all over the world. Then, of course, we have Metu Neter, Volume 1. That is the master text. Now available hardcover, softcover, and even an ebook. So you can get that tonight at kamiticlegacy.com. I'll put that link up for you, KAMITIC legacy.com. Okay, Brother Curtis, you're quite welcome. All right, I think we're all good. Okay, and we have Aberashel 9941. Didn't get your link. You signed up. I need your email address. Okay, so once again, send that to asarasetpa@gmail.com. June 22nd, didn't receive a link. Make sure that you check your spam folder in your email, but you can send me an email. Once again, I'll put that address up for you and we will get you straight. There we go. All right. Well, have a great night. Have a wonderful Sekher Cycle. And let's pull our boat. Peace and blessings, everyone.
I'm pulling my deep within and see with new eyes. Then my boat sails on light through the sands of life. This is my